sci-fi world where AI a little bit runs what we do, and there is a bare minimum of humanity that keeps us human.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Okay, let's try to take a jab at that one, statistically speaking. So if it is a tsunami-like event like COVID, right? Like the question is, how much people took the pay packages in Canada? I think even the growth mindset folks took these cash parachutes. They were loans, there was free cash. Even my dad is an entrepreneur. I think he took some of that. And I think like most of them took advantage of that. Now, the real question is, what percentage of folks adapted to these times? Well, could I rephrase the question? What are these times? It's a more digital world. I saw boomers even adapt to technology. I never thought that would be possible. I mean, it's a complex, multi-layered question right there, but I think when humans are pushed against a wall, I think they don't have a choice to adapt. And I think that 90% actually adapt to this new world. Now, this new world, it won't be black and white like AI as overlords and giving orders, or will it be such a world? So I think very few stay in the actual hole and don't move and are, you know, like the classic self-destruction mechanism, like constant self-sabotage, that they never go anywhere. But how the other question is, like, even if they adapt, how will they be able to outcompete a super intelligence? That will definitely be a complex question. Can you try to help me there?
I don't think the 90% will adapt. I think that's what you were saying, right?
Because like to technology, right? Like if we're talking about using Zoom or using an iPad, like I think boomers have adapted to that.
Sure.
If we're talking about using AI as a tool to make money, which I think is the question right now, I think most will, but there's so much, there's like other dynamics at play here. There's AI that is constantly growing fast and is being used by the 0.1%, which are super intelligent human beings. And scaling that AI is so much that even if I'm trying to adapt at some point as, I don't know, like a fixed mindset person, even if I make the jump to growth mindset, I don't have a shot because I'm too slow at adapting. Let's say that my adaptation rate is like, I don't know, I grow 3% per day.
Yeah.
That AI grows 300% a day.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, it is dangerous. And I think it's only dangerous to those who are choosing to sit back and not adopt quickly. But this has always been the case. So coming as a change agent, right? I'm a certified change professional. Being an organizational psychologist, I'm constantly looking at change. The people who are most successful in change are those who adapt early and quickly. Those who are the least successful are the ones who are resistant most often, and either they lose their job or they fail at the new process. And so they become the static mindset person. So for me, I think the idea that what we're talking about is humanity as a whole must adopt to what we are already creating, right? Humans created AI. It's not something that came out of nothing. So humans created them. Now we are the ones who should adapt them. And the intelligent will utilize it as a benefit and not a hindrance, right? So I think the answer maybe is there's 3% of people that probably will be the ones leading AI versus just letting AI lead them. I think that's where we're going to be, right? I think we are headed into a place where sci-fi is a reality. That's the future is today.
It's also weird because like Homo sapiens historically have always used tools, you know, this cup to drink coffee, this spear to hunt, the fire.
Yes.
Even us walking on our two legs is an invention. We're bipeds. That is weird, very weird in itself when you think about it. Not sure how we got to this point, but in terms in terms of the 300% growth per rate, that is like highly arbitrary. We don't have proof that it will happen. So that might like stop the theory right there. Then I think it could lead to potential, well, two scenarios that I have in mind, if we, and obviously my brain is trying to reproduce, the COVID scenario, but like from an economical perspective, once AI starts picking massive velocity. So we're not sure about that. But if that happens, the scenario would look like markets are stopped, people are losing their job massively, CEOs are laughing the crap out of themselves, they're making money like never before.
Yes.
There's like this new class of AI oligarchs.
Yes.
And governments are frigging slow. I think they will be a bit faster since they had that reaction time tested in COVID. I wouldn't want to be a prime minister, by the way, during these times. That would be a lot of stress. And then they start dropping cash and laws to prevent that from happening again. How long would that take? Probably 6 to 12 months. Would it be the definite solution? Definitely not. Just like COVID, by the way, the packages is not a definite solution.
No.
Like what is stopping the world from having another pandemic? Zero, nothing, nada.
But it doesn't even have to be a pandemic. It could be a global economic shutdown that puts us in a place that leads us to the pandemic times. I think though, what you're speaking to and what might be our saving grace, I think that you said a couple of things, right? CEOs are making millions of dollars because their overhead is very minimal now. Now bots do everything, right? So so when you go back to that concept of scaling capitalism and you go back to that concept of how many people have a growth mindset, those 10% that have a growth mindset are only going to be the ones that can scale capitalism when utilizing and leveraging AI, right? And that's why they are going to be the ones that's why the CEOs are going to be making money hand over fist, because your overhead has become literally the push of a button and not the feeding of 5,000 humans in your organization. Now I'm just pushing a button for 5,000 bots to send me information. And I think the truth could be very true when you think about it from a governmental perspective. What if we created bots that held true to governmental factions of what we wanted, and then we remove the human component? Then that becomes very, very bipartisan, which is something my country is dealing with on a regular basis. And so you allow for emotion-free politics and government drive, which on some level might then give the ability to take the country back to what it should be, if that makes sense. I realize that's very far-fetched, but I don't think it's that far out.
Well, yeah, obviously it's simpler than dynamics, but what we're going to see is like a capitalism overshift, because obviously this market is way more complex than just corporations. But let's call it that this will be the 80% effect, a drastic tsunami that will be coming. Mm-hmm. And the only outcome to this would be these companies amassing humongous sums of capital and deciding to give back to society. Now there's also social startups nowadays. Entrepreneurs that, let's say, go 20% social, 80% capital. I think they would do good at scale. I think that would be definitely something. There's also competent people in the government that would deploy these AIs and make something better. I think
exactly
after this storm, my prediction is that there will be beauty after that. There will be more abundance, if that makes sense. But I mean, that doesn't mean that resources will be abundant. Maybe it will scale actually consumption. Maybe it's something that we definitely don't want. But talking about the psychology of these people, like, what if you're jobless? Like, what does your life look like? Do you spend your time like worrying? Do you spend your time looking for a new job? Like, what do you do? Do you actually start a business? Because that's also another of my controversial prediction. I think everyone will be entrepreneurs in the future.
So it's funny that you say that, because I just spoke at a conference in my industry last month, and that is exactly what I said. I said, you graduating with a degree in IO psychology today are better off working for yourself and becoming your own boss than you are looking for a job inside an organization. Because in today's world where organizational psychologists first enter into the workplace, it is in talent acquisition, it is in employee engagement, it is in performance management, and all of those things are becoming enhanced by artificial intelligence. And the beauty of artificial intelligence when it comes to a recruiting perspective is that it removes the human bias that we have constantly, as organizational psychologists, combated for decades, because it is nearly impossible to remove all of the bias from humanity, but a robot's bias but a robot will remove that. So when you are going to employee selection, and you want to make sure you're getting the right person and that your unconscious bias doesn't have an impact, the best way to do that is a robot. The same thing is true for performance management. Oftentimes organizations are promoting people that you're wondering, wait, how is that person promoted when this person worked the hardest? It's because there's unconscious bias or conscious bias happening in the workplace, allowing these people to be promoted. And when you leave that up to robots, you remove that bias altogether. Again, I think AI allows for a bipartisan world, and that's what will drive our future, to your point, success. And then and only then will entrepreneurs become the norm and not the outlier, because we then need to carve out our own world. We have to carve out our own world, and the only way we can do that is through creativity. And I think innovation, and humans still have the drop on that from AI, because all of that's programmed, right? We're not there yet. We're not there to self-program and reprogram.
Yeah, let's close this off with something funny. Well, a bunch of people, they're like, AI is super biased and so forth. Why? Because it's built on the back of humanity.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not too bullish on that one. I think that if you prompt an AI right and you give it the right orders, and if you feed it the right data, right, a set control of data, obviously its core algorithm doesn't change, but there's ways in which it can be way less biased. And what's the comparison? Less biased than another human. I am so goddamn biased on my side, even if I try not to be. So yeah, I would also be pro AI when it comes to that. Doesn't mean that we don't need to work on the current bias of AIs, because there's a lot of bias in AIs. No shit, Sherlock. It's a creation of
it's
humans.
Created by biased humans. That makes perfect sense. But I think the intelligent human would design it in a way where they potentially could remove that. I think that's the whole point of it. That's the idea, right? That's the whole point. Otherwise, we're only creating an extension of ourselves instead of a more intelligent form. That's not ideal.
Christine, thank you so much for coming on. That was a cool discussion. Where can people find out more about you?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Your Organizational Psychologist. You can find me on LinkedIn at McHale Consulting Group. And you can sign up for my change course right now. I'm signing up for my September course. I've got 12 spots left. McHaleConsultingGroup.com/curate your change.
Thank you so much. And I am Charles Cormier, host of Founder Wisdom Podcast.com. If you want to start, scale, be invited to podcast, podfire.com.